Do you want to do the da-da-da part for the beginning? I think that would be a good way if we hum that. So how does it actually go? It goes...
Da 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 da.
I'll just let you do it. Go ahead. Okay, just do it now from the beginning.
I'll probably actually tack that on at the end for whoever sticks around.
I think it should be the beginning.
We'll see what I do.
All right then. We'll see what you do.
Hey everybody. Remember Liz?
Hi.
It's been a while. Actually, technically, since this will go up in the break room, this will be your first time being on this channel, despite the fact that you're in the logo.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. I thought I was in the break room before, but maybe not.
No.
Oh well.
And this will be your first time being on any of my channels in this decade-long year of 2020.
Yes, and in this new space too.
Yes.
So many firsts. It's so exciting.
So we have now both seen Hamilton.
Yes, we have. Yeah, the Disney Plus movie. Well, it's on Disney Plus, originally of Broadway. Movie musical extravaganza. Broadway musical extravaganza. So.
Yeah. I don't think you need us to tell you what Hamilton is.
I don't think you do.
I think everybody knows at this point. We watched it tonight. You for the first time, me for the second, because I watched it once previously. And I put off doing a review because I realized, I can actually get
my saucy opinion on things.
Preview of coming attractions with that statement. So yeah, I'm coming at this from the perspective of a theater geek. And someone who isn't deep into the current ongoings of Broadway, but I've always enjoyed theater, doing theater, being in theater. I like musicals. And you came at it with a bit more of a...
I am very picky about musicals. There's very few I really adore. Some of those I recognize are somewhat problematic. And I liked them when I was little, I was in them in theater or something.
Do you want to name any so people have a frame of reference, or?
Well, I think some of the ones I've liked are Chicago, and I liked the movie version of that a lot. That's kind of where I came from it. Which, given the current scrutiny of the criminal justice system, probably there would be some reframing thoughts if I watched that now. And then I do, for old stuff, I do kind of like Guys and Dolls.
Okay.
And there's a couple others, but we'll put those two out there now.
Okay.
And I was in Guys and Dolls in children's theater when I was little, so I think that's part of my love of it.
That can do it. That can do it.
Yeah.
So you actually came into this. Your base assumption coming in was, I'm gonna think this is super overrated.
I did think it was somewhat overrated.
Which means you liked it more than you thought you would.
I did. I will admit it. I think I told you, I was like, this wasn't as bad as it could have been. Which is glowing praise from me.
When you go in expecting to not like something, coming out with that statement, that is high praise from you.
High praise from Liz Wick and her not glowing love of musicals. So I will say what I think I liked most was the themes in it of ambition, of just sort of the dynamic between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton and that rivalry. And their sort of philosophies of life of Burr being wait for it and taking his time and really thinking it over, and Hamilton just being a work hound and always working and always doing stuff and having this hurried sense of time and fleeting sense of time and that he had to do things. So I liked those themes of it. And I think that's what I liked the best about it. The acting was great.
You like the costumes. There were about 3 or 4 coats that you're like, I
want all those coats, and I really dug them, and definitely want the long revolutionary style coat, even though it would take me like 2 hours to button up everything. And who doesn't want the ruffles and things like that? So, yeah, so I like that. That crown on King George was impressive.
That was quite a crown.
There were several highlights that I really liked. I liked David Diggs in both parts. I think Lafayette a little more. I was just like, I love him. He's just like so pompous and French, and it was great. And Jonathan Groff as King George was just wonderful. Every time he came on, I was like, yes, he's back. Like, they play his little theme, and I'd get so excited because he was ridiculous with his...
He was just as absurd as you kind of needed him to be.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he was those absurd comic relief moments in the play, there were a few. It wasn't as like serious as I thought it would. Some of them I was really impressed with their singing. So the woman who played Angelica in her song, where she was like powerhouse rapping, like some of the most impressive rapping was done by her.
Satisfied was kind of her big showpiece number.
So that was good. And then but then she also had range, and sung very beautifully and more slowly. So I was impressed with her. The choreography was impressive. Just the way it flowed and constantly going, and just how they would move objects around the cast. And it just flowed really well, and just the set, they had different levels, they could bring things in. The rotation I really liked. I'm like, how can we get a rotating stage?
I do love a good rotating stage.
Oh, it was nice. So, and the lighting was good. I liked how they highlighted and played certain parts, and when he was, like when King George was like feeling blue, and then he was like, and then there was a beat and blue lights came on. Again, more love for his ridiculousness. And those were the things I really liked about it. That being said, okay, I'll stop there.
We'll get to your notes. I know you have them.
Notes. Well, not actual notes this time, but yes.
I mean, standard Liz response. I have notes, even if they're not literal.
Yes.
You have them. Like for me, it's actually hard to sort of tangibly say what it is I like about this show, because it kind of boils down to I really like the energy of it. I don't just mean because it's high energy. I mean because I think having to do with it coming at this subject with this hip hop energy gives it a very different feel from most other musicals I've seen. Like, I'm not going to say that I've never seen that kind of energy on stage, but usually if I've seen anything like that, it's been for like one number. I've never seen a show bank on that as its primary sense of flow and feel. And that, to me, was a big part of what made it feel like a fairly unique experience. And for me, I came away going, okay, I like that pretty well. And that's just filmed. I bet if I'd seen that on stage, I would have been blown the hell away. Because it is a high energy show, and they knew how to play certain songs too. Like when they came back from the second act with like the Jefferson, he's dashing across the stage, and it's his intro song, and like you could tell the audience was already in love with that actor from the last role he played in the first act, and so it was perfect, like they knew where to place certain things, so the pacing was good. I like the show. I think the writing on the show is really, really good in terms of it's really hard to balance a musical, especially a musical that has almost no just spoken bits. It is pretty much some form of singing pretty much the entire way through. It's really hard to find a proper ebb and flow for that to get it all the way through, where to get all the beats of a narrative and to feel like it builds in a way that isn't just trying to top each song each time. So I feel like it's very smartly written and very well structured, and in a sort of damning with fine praise, Lin-Manuel Miranda clearly wrote this part for himself. because it requires no actual singing. It's all rapping because he's not actually a very good singer, which he seems to know and understand. So I admire his recognition of his own limits when writing a part for himself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And he did a very good job, yet, and even though he was the main focus and it was all about Hamilton.
I'm knocking my stuff over with my elbow.
I will say, I think it was a production that let other characters shine.
Oh yeah.
And like, I don't think you'll come away being like, Hamilton was my favorite from this.
Well, he doesn't have any of the powerhouse songs in it.
No, not really. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
And also, we kind of talked about this, the way it's structured, I'm not entirely sure you're supposed to like him best either. While it's very high praising of everything he accomplished, at least I didn't feel that it was over valorizing of him as a human being.
Yeah. Though now that I'm looking into the like historical criticism of it, there's a lot they left out. And we'll get into that.
I glanced at it. I know that there's a lot that was left out. There was a lot that was changed. There's a lot of things that were shifted in time.
It did also make me more curious about Aaron Burr as well, which even though I was like, it is his story, I also look back on what I just said and like, we didn't really find out much about him. Like, there's a like hint at a love interest early on, and that's all we really know other than kind of he's seen through sort of his relationship with Hamilton and his rivalry with Hamilton.
He is, but the way that they chose to portray him in this, that is actually very fitting, because like his whole thing is he won't take a clear stand on things because he feels it's more advantageous for people to not know what you stand for, so you can just adjust and pivot and climb the ladder. So the fact that we don't actually know much about him, which is basically the overriding criticism that Hamilton has of him that puts Jefferson in office, feels kind of fitting.
Well, I mean, that's the interpretation of this play of him.
Yes, again, like me saying any of that is as presented in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't honestly know much about him, and to say what was accurate or inaccurate about that, I'm not sure. So, and that actor also, Leslie Odom Jr., did an amazing job with Aaron Burr.
He did a very good job. So, you have notes.
So, I don't love the plot, and again, I think all the criticism of it as, you know, yes, it is great. It is a very diverse cast the way they did it, but it is still centered on white historical figures, primarily male. It's not great feminist story. It's like all the women are sad in some way. They really are at one time. The two sisters are infatuated with Hamilton. He breaks both their hearts, like, barf. I mean, really, like, it doesn't, and it did not make my feminist heart sing. So, that being said, I was impressed with how they dealt with Hamilton's affair, and I really thought Eliza's song, the Burn song, was really powerful. And, you know, Angelica was like, I'm not here for you.
I loved that moment where she comes back and he's like, oh, thank goodness you're here. And she's like, oh, no. No.
So, I didn't love that. Like, I thought both those actresses did a great job. And I realized the historical context, it's not about women, but, like, I didn't love that. Like, Sally Heming got, like, a throwaway reference, which, you know, seems really weird. They glossed over a lot of things. Even though they mentioned immigration, it was part of it. Like, I was just like, I feel like you could go deeper, you know? Like, into his history, or, like, start it when he's back in Puerto Rico, you know, and like go from there.
Okay.
I mean, again, the thing with Hamilton and slavery too is he might, like, from what I've read, it's possible that he owned slaves himself, and his father-in-law certainly did. And even it's not really clear how anti-slavery he was, even though they put that in the play. You know, he criticizes Jefferson in it. So I think anyone who criticizes the play for that and for saying, you know, like, it's great that it's a diverse cast, but it doesn't highlight actual historical figures, actual people of color that were historical figures, I think that's a very valid criticism. So
I'm not going to disagree with the criticism. What I will say, though, is that I feel... Here's my feeling about the cast diversity. Mm-hmm. I do feel that presenting this cast, and especially with this style of music, mm-hmm. it brings it removes all the stuffiness that you would normally see in any recreation, whether
of
it
historical
of that kind of
drama.
historical
Yeah.
period, whether it be musical or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it did a lot to make it feel more immediate and make it feel more lively, mm-hmm. just by virtue of having a cast that diverse. And I feel like that was part of that energy that I talked about that I really like about it, because the diverse casting, I feel this very strongly. It's not a gimmick. It does do a lot to impact the way that you digest these characters and the way everything comes across. Now,
I just want an original story that I haven't heard before from that era, and there are plenty if people dig deep enough. And like, I honestly think like when the In the Heights movie comes out, I'm gonna like that a lot more because I'm like, oh, you're hitting some of the themes and actually digging into them deep, and it's about that, and like it's about modern times, and thank you. And that's it's not a historical period that actually interests me very much, to be perfectly honest. Like,
fair.
Revolutionary War and like the founding fathers and stuff, and like not my bag of chips. So
as far as like records of major events, it's a lot of white guys in wigs.
Yes.
So like,
which Jonathan Groff pulls off well.
He makes the wig work.
Yeah.
And that crown, oh my God.
I know. I'm so impressed that he, like, how he glides so smoothly in that thing, because it would have just gone flying off my head.
And he spits so much.
During his song, I know.
Like I noticed it before, but like this second time watching it, I noticed every time they went into the close-up, there was a glisten right there on the lower lip from a gob of spit that was just sitting there.
Like, yeah, that was his first song, right?
Oh, well, it was every time they went into a close-up.
It was bad in his first, though.
In his first song, you saw it go. You saw it fly in the first song. But after that, like, every song, I saw a bit hanging there, or like there's a glisten on the chin, or like, man, dude.
I wonder almost if he just, like, did it on purpose, too, to, like...
No, I looked into that. He's a spitter when he sings. That's just him. Which I do have to wonder if that in any way influenced the choreography, and the fact that he is center stage with nobody around him for him to spray.
He is not quite. He's going to be well socially distanced during this time and afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he's got some money in his bank account, because these are going to be like no close, intimate black box theater for Jonathan Groff. Oh my God. Oh yeah. So those are my main criticisms of it. Again, there was a lot to like in terms of the actual theater elements of it. I would like to see some of these actors in other things, and you know what else Lin-Manuel Miranda can do. So
Nope, fair enough.
in the Heights. So I'd like to see that when it comes out as a movie version. But yeah, those are my main criticisms. I'd like to see some women not be sad. So that would be nice.
I honestly think that's asking too much, sweetie. I really do. I mean, that's wonderful that you want that, you can hope for it. I don't think that'll ever happen. So, anyways, everybody.
You're awful.
We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you for being on here again, and
yeah, giving my canon opinion of everything.
I would expect nothing less, baby.
Yeah.
If I didn't want that from you, you wouldn't be here.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
So thanks, everybody, and there's the usual stuff, like, subscribe, comments in the down there part and all those things, but no pressure, don't worry about it. We take a relaxed attitude, so just come on back next time you need a break.